Jalen Anthony Rose.
What up, dope?
I'm David Jacoby.
And on the cool check-in.
Together we are Jalen Jacoby. What is it that we do?
We get the people what they want.
So much to discuss on this Monday afternoon. We have a full slate of games in the NFL on Sunday. We have a new Heisman Trophy winner. We have big game between the Oregon Ducks and the Michigan Wolverines that went into overtime. And the Lakers just keep on winning. But we start with the terrible Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals are bad, but the Patriots made them look even worse. My guy, Stephen Gilmore, 2 picks, including a 64-yard pick 6 with the return. They added 2 more picks, picked off Andy Dalton 4 times. Jalen, we know that the Pats are struggling on offense, which they continue to do even in this game against one of the worst teams I've seen in a long time. But can this defense carry them to a Super Bowl?
J.C. Jackson had 2 picks too. And the Gilmore that you described, that's the Defensive Player of the Year. I was going through all of the top teams and trying to figure who was their best defensive player and how well they've played this year. He ranks right up there.
A lot of the great defensive players have had flashes, big games this season, but Gilmore has been consistent.
Absolutely. And I don't see this as an all-time great defense. Like, usually that happens when your front seven is just creating havoc and you might have a defensive lineman piling up sacks or a linebacker that's just rushing the quarterback as well as doing well in coverage and getting some picks. But I do feel like this is a defense that can help carry the Patriots because you know why? They're doing it right now as we speak. Tom Brady, under 40% completing percentage, 4 straight games.
Ugh.
You know the other person in the league to do that?
I guess Baker Mayfield.
Haskins.
Yep.
Dwayne Rookie Haskins. Now just think about that for a contrast. He's on his second coach in his rookie year. Washington isn't going anywhere, and their records are basically polar opposites. So for Tom Brady to be playing as poorly as he's been playing, and the standard that he's not only set, but now to the standard of comparing him to the rest of his peers, he has not been great.
No, he hasn't gotten any help from his receiving core either, though.
No, they dropped some balls.
They're dropping some balls. Even Edelman was dropping some balls.
I thought about it when I saw Josh Gordon make that beautiful catch.
Oh, with the fingernails?
When Russell Wilson threw out there for him, I was like, oh, Tom Brady could use that right now.
Yeah, you know that they're watching that one and be like, maybe we let the wrong guy go.
Yeah.
And they're watching that one. Well, the offense has been pretty bad. The defense has been great. But one thing that they have is they've got a really good production staff. For this documentary that they are shooting, it's called Do Your Job, where they just want to put a spotlight on different people in the Patriots organization and just sort of like put a spotlight on them. And it just so happened that this week they had a documentary crew with the advanced scout who went to the Bengals game last week. We all know what happened, but now we know what happened because there is some footage of the interaction between Bengals security and the production staff of Do Your Job. Just a documentary. They're just making a documentary. Let's check out this back and forth.
And this is a piece you're filming on your Advanced Scout?
Yeah.
Yeah. Come on, guys. I don't see the Advanced Scout in this footage.
No, it's not. We were trying to get some field perspective. It's my bad.
That's not the field.
Believe that.
That's why you would think you could take that.
I didn't know. I gotta be honest. I didn't know. I'm sorry. But I can delete this right here for you.
Damage is done, my friend.
No, it isn't, because we deleted it.
Once it gets
It's
deleted,
gone.
it's gone.
22 yards line,
It's gone.
29 yards on the punt.
I can't get
And
that.
return 29 yards.
He's trying to get some field perspective, just a little B-roll for the documentary. Come on, Jalen. I see no foul play there whatsoever.
So you're in the industry. You need some scouting done. People that have identified the greatest athletes to ever do it at their respective field. You know who you hire? The Kardashians. That's who you hire. I'm trying to tell you, if you look back at their track record over the last 20 years,
Great talent
some of
scouts.
the amazing athletes
Great talent scouts.
have dealt with them. And the Jenners. We got to add them. But in all honesty, for the Patriots to be involved with this, it's really disappointing for me as somebody that appreciates greatness.
Why's that?
Because I can't ignore when people cheat.
You think that was cheating? You don't think there's getting field perspective?
I can't. So just think about it this way. If a player was on steroids that you went against your entire career, and they had a lot of greatness attributed to their success, to you as an athlete, you'll still look at them sideways, and you'll still look at them like they took shortcuts in order to be great. That's what this is. And there are fools out there to say, oh, what do you gain from recording the Bengals? It's not about the Bengals. Have you ever heard of Spygate? This was way before the Bengals. You ever heard of Deflategate? They walk to the edge of the pool and try to get every advantage that they can get over their opponent. The dude was like, you're recording the field. I don't see an advanced scout in that footage.
First of all, big shout to this Bengals security guy because he was all over this. He's like, what are you talking about? He's like, that's not even the field. That's the sideline of the team you're playing next week.
And so why would you record the sideline of a team? Well, there are a lot of things that
you can gain some stuff, substitution patterns, and
packages,
and all of that.
If they're gonna do a fake,
or you can tell, or if they're about to put in this player, he stands here, or if this coach goes to this part of the bench, then they're gonna put in this package. There's a lot you can pick up from that. But again, I just can't wait to see this episode of Do Your Job. You know what I mean? I can't wait to see this episode of Do Your Job.
And also, he was like, I could just delete it right now.
I love it. Yeah, it's like, what do you mean?
The damage is done.
The damage is done.
Yeah.
He's like, no, what do you mean?
No, I can just delete it right now. I can delete it right now.
Once I delete it, it's gone forever. No harm, no foul. I can just be on my merry way.
What team gear was he wearing?
Probably Kraft Productions.
Correct. He had on the Patriots.
Kraft Productions.
So, of course, he doesn't work
the football side.
Operations.
The football side has nothing to do with the production of this. I mean, if maybe some of the footage happens to get uploaded to a server that maybe someone who on the football side accidentally clicks on, and then maybe they glean a little something. I see no foul play. I see no foul play whatsoever. As someone who's worked in the television industry for 20 years, that's exactly how you film a documentary about an advanced scout.
They should get a severe discipline for this.
They should get an Emmy. Do your job. They should get the Lombardi Trophy and an Emmy for doing your job.
I could just delete it right now.
Oh, they're gonna lose draft picks. They're gonna lose. This is bad.
I could just.
This is bad. I can just delete it.
Yeah.
I can just delete it.
Yeah, Harry's gonna be their last first round pick in a while.
Yeah. They're gonna get disciplined. The NFL's investigating. Like, all I gotta do is watch that clip. It's pretty clear.
They got fined $250,000 as a team before, and Belichick got fined $500,000, and that was like 10 years ago.
Oh yeah, it's gonna
we
be
got
bad.
inflation for them.
Inflation's gonna hit.
And Robert Kraft got a little slap on the wrist for his transgressions over the last couple of years.
That was filmed too. Moving on. The Bills had 5 takeaways in their win over the Steelers, and they held the Steelers to just 229 yards. The Bills also clinched a playoff spot. They're sniffing at the top spot in the AFC East against those Patriots that were filming a documentary. Jalen, can this defense, like the Patriots, carry this team into the Super Bowl?
Well, they're getting better quarterback play than Allen is playing better than Brady on the season. In particular, able to scramble and make plays with his legs. And shout to Brown, their receiver. He's really consistent on a nightly basis. What I want to say about Buffalo is, while people don't see them as an ascending, contending team yet, it's because of the past. It's because this is the first time they won 10 games in almost 20 years.
It's been a while.
So now all of a sudden to see them amongst the ranks, you like...
There's something funky about the uniform.
Right,
You're just like,
is this really happening?
When you watch that Thanksgiving game, they gave it to the Cowboys. This is another primetime game, the only game on, and the Steelers have won a bunch of games.
But it was good for me to see Connor back for the Steelers get a touchdown. Unfortunately, they were without Juju. They're essentially down to their 4th string quarterback. And so that's what I saw take place. I saw your guy Duck throwing lame ones up there for the other team to pick it off.
Why he my guy now? Why
because
is Doug Hodges my guy? When did I claim Doug Hodges?
Oh, you claimed Doug Hodges. You know these microphones record things you say.
Nah. What are you talking about? We can delete that. We can delete that. No harm, no foul. The Browns, of course, we're going to talk about the Browns because they're the Browns. They're 6-8, and they looked bad against the Cardinals. Like, they looked bad. We got Jarvis Landry arguing with Freddie Kitchens. Freddie Kitchens talking about his job security after the game. The Cardinals did their thing. You know, they won by, look at that, 2 touchdowns against the Browns. Why? What hasn't worked for the Browns?
So shout out Kyler Murray. He can ball.
He can run.
I know that he's not surrounded. I was thinking this watching the game yesterday. Imagine if the two teams did one move. Swap those jerseys right there, right now. Swap those jerseys and play that game again. The Browns will look a lot more explosive.
I think so.
Nick Chubb still ran over 100, even though they didn't give him the ball really in the first quarter. Odell Beckham can't get him to 100 yards. Can't get Landry to 100 yards. Hunt still catching and running out of the backfield. But Baker's been one of the worst quarterbacks in the entire NFL.
He's had a tough year.
Myles Garrett has gotten suspended for the rest of the year, so the defense isn't getting stopped. I just want to give the credit to Kenyon Drake and the Cardinals.
What do you think changes about the Browns in the offseason?
Coach.
Kitchens,
No doubt about it.
That's really what it is.
The kitchen's closed.
Yeah. The kitchen's closed. Can't stand the heat. Get out of the kitchen.
Kitchen's closed.
Kitchen sink. Any other kitchen
What do you
fan,
think about the
kitchen
job?
sink you
You're
got?
like, I don't care about this job. Don't ask me about this job.
You gotta get hired by Kraft Productions. It is now time for What's Your Number? Jalen Rose, there's a heavyweight in the UFC. There's a attending UFC fight this weekend. Gentleman by the name of Tai Tuivasa. And he was watching the fight. He wasn't in the fight, so he's having some adult beverages. So let's just check in on Tai while he's watching some UFC action in the stands. Grabs his shoe, pours his beer in the shoe.
Cultural.
And then drinks the beer out of the shoe, chugging the beer out of the shoe. It's an Australian tradition. It's called a shoey. Jalen Rose, what is your number to drink a beer out of a shoe?
You see the girl over his left shoulder. She like, I hope this guy don't ask me to kiss him. I'm not going to be able to do it. A couple of things. He's a heavyweight. That didn't look like his shoe.
Okay.
So that means
That up the number?
that probably was the gentleman that he was doing it with shoe maybe.
Looked like it. That guy was
Which that means he was drinking out of his homeboy's shoe. So that means that's what I would be doing in this case with you.
Oh, yeah, the shoes do look a little dirty. Those are not brand new shoes.
No, I'm good.
A little scuff in there in the toe.
I'm good.
How much would it take for you to drink a beer out of my shoe?
I'm not doing it.
You're just not.
I just rather
There's
not
no
do it.
number in the
Yeah,
world.
no,
that's why you're too rich for this segment.
No, I'm
you're
not.
too rich for this
I'm
segment.
not.
You know my number?
No,
I'll do
you're
it.
too dirty for this segment.
I'll do it
You're
for
too dirty for this segment.
$500 cash. $500 cash. I'll drink a full beer out of my
David
shoe.
Jacoby playing basketball 7 games in a night. Goes home, doesn't shower. Parents his 3 kids. Shows up at work next day.
Yep.
Still hasn't showered.
Yep.
I am not drinking out of that shoe.
For $10 million, you wouldn't do it.
I do it for 5.
$5 million would
I do it for
I'll do it for $500. $500, I'll drink a beer right out of your shoe, easy.
All right, hold on. Here.
Light work.
How about this? How about
Light work.
this tea?
I can't drink a beer at work.
Now you can drink tea.
I can't drink a
can drink
beer
some
at
tea.
work.
Here.
No, it's a beer. This isn't the thing.
Here, you can
It's a
drink
beer.
Here.
It's a beer.
Here.
Where's my $500?
Hold on, I got $500.
You know what? We're gonna negotiate this, and we'll see what happens. Stay tuned to Jalen Jacoby. I might drink some tea out of this shoe. I really might. Coming to you live from Pier 17 at the South Street Seaport and brought to you by Chase. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen Rose, we will continue with the NFL Sunday later. Right now it's time to look at the NBA because the Lakers just continue to win basketball games. They've had 14 straight road wins. 14 straight road wins. The latest victim were the Hawks. Both AD and LeBron had 25 points and over 10 rebounds. Here's my question for you.
Okay.
Can we give Frank Vogel some credit? Can we give Frank Vogel some credit? Because I feel like
Can you
give
give Frank Vogel
Yeah,
some
that's
credit?
my guy. People say I look like him.
I've always told people that Rob Pelinka was doing a really good job of putting that team together. Please give Mr. Vogel his flowers. Continue.
Here's the thing. LeBron James doesn't always have the best relationship with his coaches. We've seen it happen a few times. Remember when he started with Spoelstra in Miami, and we all know what happened with David Blatt. And winning helps, obviously. But this is going really well. You know, and Frank Vogel, remember they got Jason Kidd there, so there was questions about having sort of an heir apparent right there on the bench next to you. Well, guess what? Frank Vogel's doing a great job.
He is doing a great job. And LeBron James leading the league in assist. 17th year, 6'9", 250 pounds, spinning in the lane.
Spinning and dunking.
Looking
Mean.
spry.
You look mean.
And here's the other thing I got to point out, because there was 2 teams on the floor. The great thing for the Hawks is that Vince Carter is in his final season. The bad thing for the Hawks they still rely on him to play quality minutes at this point of his career.
Yeah.
And I just recall watching the game. They were down 3. They gave it to Vince. He did a great job penetrating the lane. Kick it out to your lottery pick left corner. He got to knock that down. I see up front DeAndre Hunter, the kid they took from Virginia.
Yep.
Okay. I worry when you have so many young, talented players, and obviously they lost Collins to the PEDs.
Collins was a big loss.
And we felt like this could be a line of demarcation to kind of make the Hawks go in reverse. When you start looking at those standings, the Hawks' record is really ugly.
It's not good. And when you watch them, they don't pass the eye test either.
And having a young, talented player in Trae Young that we know that's going to be an all-star for multiple years, is going to do some great things in this league, and is going to lead that squad. It's just unfortunate that they're going to have to come from such a far place with all of that same talent on the roster right now. It's going to be interesting to see how they build that thing out.
Jalen, Nikola Jokic starting to play like Nikola Jokic again. He had a couple good games.
Give my guys love.
Against the Thunder, he had 28, 14, and 12. And then against the Knicks.
He had what? I didn't hear you. What did he have that game?
28, 14, and 12 against the Thunder.
Okay.
And then, most recently against the Knicks, he had 25 and 10. Is Nikola Jokic back?
He never left.
What are you talking about?
I tried to tell you.
Jalen.
He came in.
Jalen.
I'm telling you, Jacoby, do not look at the stat sheet. The biggest thing that you should have looked for.
The biggest thing is him.
The
Look at the stretch mark 5.
The scale. It ain't on this points, rebounds, assists, steals. It was the scale.
He played all summer. Like, how did he come in so big?
It was ounces. It was body fat. It was all of the things
Stretch mark
that
5.
don't show up on this score sheet.
Stretch mark 5.
So now all of a sudden, you played almost a quarter of the year. Mm-hmm. Back feeling like yourself again. And the responsibilities that he have playing the 5 position, there are other talented 5s, but they don't necessarily initiate the offense through AD, Karl Anthony Towns, Joel Embiid.
They're the recipient of a lot of
Correct.
passes.
He leads the team in assists.
Yes. They run every possession
As a
through him
5.
when he's on the floor.
So to see him back in shape and putting up big numbers, I'm glad you have to bow down to him and Vogel in back-to-back
Do you think
conversations.
You think I still look better with my shirt off than Jokic? Or
No.
he played himself.
He got you now.
He got me
He got you now.
He got me now.
Yeah, he got some definition out there.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he had some definition.
Oh, no.
He's Morris, and he was going to get some strong cats. And Randall, he got you now.
Okay. Well, the Brooklyn Nets beat the 76ers by 20 points. They look pretty good against the Embiid-less Sixers. But I want to show you something. Spencer Dinwiddie. Spencer Dinwiddie's been doing his thing. There's Harris with a little travel and a dunk. Spencer Diddy had the dunk of the year so far. These are just little appetizer, moose boosh dunks. Dinwiddie on Tobias Harris right there. Jalen, is that the dunk of the year so far?
It's not the dunk of the year, but I remember growing up and seeing Magics and seeing Clydes and wanting a goatee like theirs.
Okay.
Jimmy Walker, my biological father. And that's my favorite thing about Spencer, his goatee.
His goatee. That's your
First
favorite
off,
thing. Forget his game. Forget what he's been doing with Irving out. We're talking about his goatee. That's what we're doing right now.
And you know I call Malcolm Brogdon senator just because he seems like the oldest, more mature person in the room. Mm-hmm. The same thing goes for Spencer. And without Kyrie, and by the way, what ends up happening when you're Irving, now that you've missed so many games,
15 games.
and people didn't, quote unquote, necessarily see you get hurt like we did with Doncic, he now has people coming up to me on the street like, is he punting on the season?
Yeah.
Like, what's happening? And so you or Spencer, you get this opportunity. He's making the most of it.
He is gonna be an all-star.
No. Hit the brakes. We got to make sure we do the 1 through 24 All-Stars on this show. There should not be 12 All-Stars from the Eastern Conference.
Not this year.
There should not be.
Not this year.
There should not be. But what's going to happen, however, when and if Kyrie comes back,
He's going to come back.
you remember Spencer was a substitute.
Huh?
Karis LeVert's going to come back. Now, do you bring him off the bench or do you keep him in the lineup? Because he's played just as well and their records is just as good, in my opinion, as it would be, if not better, than if Kyrie Irving was playing. What do you think about that?
I think that it's always a good thing to have a surplus of good players at one position. It's always a good thing. So it's a good problem to have. But what else it leads to is potentially moving Mr. Dinwiddie. It's possible. If you have two great players at one position, that means you have value that maybe you can upgrade a different position.
Like they did with D'Angelo last year. And shout out to DeAndre Jordan. He had a double-double.
Yep. The Kings blew out the Warriors, but that's not what I want to talk to you about.
You don't?
No. I want to talk to you
seen the
about
Warriors record?
this possession from Draymond Green.
Day.
See, I always feel like if you create the possession, then you can do whatever you want with it. So he got the steal. So he must feel like that too. Put up the board. I mean, he's a great
D'Angelo
passer.
wasn't getting that.
He's a great passer. He's a great passer. I always feel like if you create the possession, you can do whatever you want with it.
That's a perfect example of we was flying high the last 5 years.
Yep.
Just think about who was running with him. You got Clay over here. You got Steph over here. You got KD.
Boogie.
You got Boogie. Now all of a sudden he on the break. He don't even remember these guys' attributes. He like, can this guy, can he really do this? Let's try something. We only got 7 wins. Let's try something, man.
Let's just try something. Again, if you create the possession with the steal, you can ruin it however you want. I mean, I don't even really understand what he's thinking there. I really don't even understand
what he's thinking
there.
is we losing by 21 to the Kings.
Yeah.
That's what he's thinking.
Yeah.
Now, there were years when we talked about the best and worst teams in California. The Kings were on the bottom of that list for a really long
real
time.
fast.
This game changes,
real
right?
fast.
Happens in dog years.
Real fast. Jalen, it's time. We work at ESPN, so we got to talk about the Cowboys. We got to talk about the Cowboys. We'll do that right after this. Big games on Wednesday at ESPN. We have Jimmy Butler and the Heat going to play Jimmy Butler's old team in Philadelphia. And then in the nightcap, we have Kemba Walker and the Celtics going to take on the most likely Luka-less Mavericks. That's at 9:30 on
Like a
ESPN.
good neighbor, State Farm is there.
And my favorite new word, Chris Basketball, is nearly upon us, starting at noon on ESPN. Look at that slate of games. Look at that slate of games. I'm not going to pay attention to my children
Pascal,
all day long
Embiid,
on Chris Basketball.
Harden,
Chris Basketball. Why did it take us so long to come up with Chris
Kawhi.
Basketball? I love Chris Basketball. Perfect.
Yes, it is.
Great
I'll
marketing.
be there.
Great marketing.
Yes, it is.
You have a fresh suit?
No question. Christmas colors.
Christmas colors?
No question.
Oh, the red suit from your draft?
No, not. I got a budget now.
I got concerned. The Cowboys looked great against the Rams, especially Ezekiel Elliott. He had 24 carries, 117 yards. What do you think about the Cowboys, and especially Zeke's big day against Los Angeles?
So you know how much I like Zach, and I'm rooting for him to get his big deal, and I think he's going to be the Cowboys quarterback for a really long time. But what drives the Cowboys' attack is their stout offensive line and Ezekiel Elliott. This is why you paid him top dollar. And as much as we're going to talk about Zeke Eaton and going over 100, you know what people that don't go deeper in the box score don't pay attention to? Pollard also got over 100. When you have two running backs, both getting over 100, you're dominating the line of scrimmage.
Yes, you are.
Their first drive, 15 plays. They had another drive, a couple of possessions after that, 14
Defensive
plays.
players just resting.
No doubt about it. And so now all of a sudden when they get out there, they're enthusiastic, excited, and fresh to make plays. That's how this team was built. And so they played to who their identity says they should be. And also kept Aaron Donald quiet.
Yeah, they did.
Kept him quiet.
Yeah, they did. And their defense played well, especially against the Sean McVay-led Rams offense that, if you haven't been paying attention, strung together some good games. You know,
I got a number for you.
Look at these plays.
I got a number for you. And I have no statistical data to back this up. I just take notes when I'm watching sports because there's so many games we talk about more than the Cowboys. When Jared Goff throws the ball over 45 times, they probably have a 10% win percentage.
Yeah. Well, a lot of times you're trying to come from behind, which is why you pass so much.
Or you get past happy when you're trying to load manage Todd Gurley.
Todd Gurley,
who has a $10 million cap hit next year. He's going to likely be somewhere else.
Todd Gurley had 20 yards. 20 yards Todd Gurley had. Come on, man.
Higbee caught double-digit balls, went over 100. That was really about it for them offensively.
Well, we're going to move on from one team that's pretty bad.
Can you do the
might
Dak
end up
hip thing?
in the playoffs.
Think you can do that?
Yeah, of course I can.
Let's see. Yeah, there you go.
We got either the Cowboys or the Eagles are going to make the playoffs. Either the Cowboys or the Eagles are going to make the playoffs. The Eagles, they beat Washington, and if you didn't watch this game, it might seem like that they beat Washington handily by 10 points, but this was close.
Yeah, they got
this was
late
close.
touchdown.
Yeah, they got
off a
late, like
scramble
kind of there.
fumble.
They got one of those bad beat touchdowns late in the last play of the game, and they didn't look that good, but Carson Wentz was throwing some nice balls. What do you think about the Eagles' performance?
Shout to Sanders, their running back, because they've been devastated by injury at that position.
Yeah.
And he ran the football well. And what an amazing catch at the back of the end zone, the laser that Wentz threw him. That was a terrific throw and catch. And while we acknowledge the pass, and it was a laser, to catch it between four hands.
Yep.
There were two separate defenders that had their hands out there.
Falling at the same time, too. Yeah.
Yeah, because normally, like if somebody passing it to you, when you get your vision obstructed, a lot of times, especially in Philadelphia this year, they've been dropping footballs.
Like Aguilar.
Right.
Unlike Aguilar.
Like my man was saving babies. But here's the thing that worried me about watching Philadelphia win. They had a grand total of 0 sacks and 0 interceptions against a rookie quarterback. That right there doesn't bode well for a matchup against the Cowboys. Today, as I wake up, I got to give Dallas the edge.
I think that's fair. Okay. The 49ers lost to the Atlanta Falcons. I'm going to say it again. The 49ers, who a lot of people think are the best team in the NFC, lost to the Atlanta Falcons. It was Julio Jones. We've all seen it by now at the very end of the game. Jalen, what do you think about this performance from Matt Ryan and the Falcons?
Well, first off, they're dealing with some injuries on defense. D4 was out. Richard Sherman was out. My guy Mozart was still running the ball well out the backfield, doing a couple of catches. The one thing about this game that it showed us, and we thought it was going to get exposed potentially against the Saints, is how the 49ers respond either if they got behind or got in a shootout.
Yeah.
Now, they did
saw the shootout.
amazing against the Saints. That was one of the best games I ever saw.
Oh, yeah, that was great.
And watching Garoppolo go back and forth with Breeze, that was awesome. But it was a character win for the Falcons because they started 1-7. You know what usually happens with those teams? They usually end up 2-14.
They've beat the Saints and the 49ers.
Correct. I think
beat
they've won 4 out of their last 6. So
yeah.
I applaud how they're still competitive enough to, with Matt Ryan and Julio Jones, to turn around their season because it could have really gotten ugly for them.
Yeah. And that was a very close game. You know, I still believe in the 49ers. I'm not going to give up.
Yeah, I still believe in them too.
I still believe in the 49ers.
But how about this? The Falcons are saving Dan Quinn's job.
They have. Well, the Texans and the Titans played in battle of the AFC South lead, and Deshaun Watson, he threw 2 picks, but he threw 2 touchdowns, and he had some beautiful balls downfield, especially to DeAndre Hopkins. Like this, look at that right there. Like this is just a great ball from Deshaun. It seems like the Texans are either looking like one of the best teams in the AFC or looking like one of the worst teams in the AFC, and it fluctuates every single week.
Well, it's all about the weapons at Deshaun's disposal. I love how he fling the football. It's like he in a lot, playing in this dirt outside, and he just drawing up plays. I love that so much, just watching him play. But so Hyde can run the football effectively.
Yep.
D-Hop, when you talk about the top receivers in the game, to me, he top 2, top 3, no doubt about it. I don't care what list you on. But now all of a sudden, can Fuller stay healthy? What about Stills? When all of those guys are out there, now he can fling the football around and spread it. And now on the other side, my guy Merciless, he made a play. I told you.
Yeah, he did.
He got tired at the end.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he got tired.
He almost got a touchdown. He was like,
I spoke him up. Yeah, he got tired at the end.
I'm tired. He did. You saw when he got knocked out of bounds. He lay on the ground like, oh, man. Where's that oxygen
They going to tease him about that.
Yeah, they are.
But that defense got to be more consistent. But this was a quality win watching 2 former Patriot assistants face off, just like in the previous game that we talked about, watching Shanahan Jr., or Kyle Shanahan, go against his former squad, the Atlanta Falcons.
Jalen, I don't think the Lions are going to win the division this year.
They not?
I don't think they are. We're going to break down the disappointing Lions and the disappointing Wolverines in a very sad segment right after this. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen, what we talk about on the show is very important to you. You put a lot of thought and time and energy into telling us what we should talk about. So guess what? We've got a segment just for you. It's called Keep It Moving. If you want to discuss the topics, you say hit the brakes. If not, me and Method Man jump in the minivan and keep it moving. Are you ready, Mr. Rose?
I'm just amazed that we got a member of the mighty Wu-Tang Clan contributing to our show daily.
The Packers beat the Bears and are now 11-3. Keep moving or hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes.
There's a lot of teams that are 11-3. The Packers don't really get considered to be one of the best of those teams. I'm talking about the Seahawks. We're talking about the 49ers are now 11-3. Do you think the Packers are one of the best teams in the NFC?
Because you say when we talk about, you mean mainstream media, and usually that's about the quarterback, and Aaron Rodgers isn't having a signature season.
No, he's not.
That's why. But you know who else is? Aaron Jones. Mm-hmm. The only person that has more touchdowns than him at running back is Christian McCaffrey.
Interesting.
Just think about that for a second. So he's been terrific.
Yeah.
Running and catching. Devontae Adams was making plays. That was a big fourth down play that they
the
ended up
Packers
getting a
don't always
touchdown
have a
on.
great running back to put alongside Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Jones is turning into that.
And they also don't always have a great defense, and when they do have a great defense, they go a long way.
We'll see. Well, Jalen, the Detroit Lions played a football game yesterday.
Hit the brakes.
We're going to hit the brakes on the Lions?
Yeah, for sure.
We're going to hit the brakes on the Lions?
No doubt.
Okay. The Lions have lost 7 straight football games. 7 times. They put on their uniforms and they lost. And Jalen, honestly, that game 1 tie against the Cardinals was the best performance they had all year.
I knew you was going to say
The best performance they had all year.
Especially after watching Kyler Murray yesterday.
Yeah, game 1 against the Cardinals. That was the best. You know what? Y'all should just quit the season right after that tie.
Meow. That's all I can say.
That's all you got to say.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think is going to change? Like, come on, Dr. Rose. Like, what's the diagnosis? What's the prescription to get this better?
Well, I told you when the season started to hit a fork in the road. I've seen this movie for 46 years, and it's been happening for 60 years, to the point we've only won 1 playoff game over that period of time.
Ridiculous.
And I just remember the dominoes vividly. I could go back 30 seasons and tell you at what point of the season it went awry. This year, I told you, had a tie against the Cards. Should have handled Kyler Murray his first game.
Yep.
No particular order. I remember we played a moral victory game against the Kansas City Chiefs. The rest of the world that don't root for the team like, oh, y'all so great.
Yeah.
Minnesota, the refs didn't give us a couple of calls. We was able to blame them.
Mm-hmm.
Then Carry-On got injured.
Yep.
Then Matthew Stafford got injured. We traded our dime safety.
When are you going to stop watching Lions games? Like, when are you just going to give up on the team? They're not making the playoffs. They're not making any noise. They lost 7 straight games.
You notice, let me tell you the only 2 fan bases that I see trying to give up on their team when they get mad at them. The Cowboys for sure. Mm-hmm. And that's it.
That's pretty much it. From Lions to Tiger Woods had a big weekend. Keep moving and hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes.
All right, well, hit the brakes. He was the captain of the American side, and they beat the Internationals in the President's Cup, and Tiger played pretty well. Do you think Tiger has some more majors in him?
I think since he can play his sport for as long as he wants to, based on the age of people I've seen come before him, yes, I would not be surprised if Tiger gets another major.
Okay. Moving on. Tough loss for the Wolverines on Saturday
Hit the brakes.
afternoon. Oregon Ducks came into Ann Arbor, and after trailing big early, Michigan Wolverines came back, forced overtime, but my guy, Peyton Pritchard.
Oh, it's like that?
Peyton Pritchard. They just couldn't stop him. The whole fourth quarter, Peyton Pritchard was just getting to the rack and finishing just like this. Every possession was the same thing. What did you think about this performance from the Wolverines?
It wasn't just Pritchard. It was Mathis, too. He was knocking down threes.
Yeah, but I thought it was a game winner.
Yeah,
but called off.
he was balling. They're the kind of team that you get them in the second half. You're playing at home. Liver starts the first half. He's 0 for 7.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, Wagner gets going. Simpson has double-figure assists. But then Pritchard in the second half. Play after play. Drive after drive.
It's like 5 straight possessions.
Finish after finish. And one. Big late. It was a tough loss. But here's what I like, though.
What'd you like?
I love a team that was unranked coming into the year.
Mm-hmm.
That now is ranked, that's going to get everybody's best shot, and they're not just playing cupcakes.
No, they're not.
If there's a top 11 I think Michigan's played 5 of those teams.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't come out with the rankings or whatever, but yeah, they've played 4 or 5 of the best teams in the nation. And that's how you get good.
Correct.
Moving on, I have a block shot that I really want you to see.
Hit the brakes.
This is Arkansas Razorback, Rokia Dombia. Just wait until you see this block shot. Yeah!
Oh, to the left,
I love it so much. Jalen Rose, does that feel better than like a dunk?
See, here's what makes it really nasty. Because the right-handed shooter jumped off the left leg and shot it like this, and then the left-handed player came jumping off the right leg. It was just
I like the
perfect.
anticipation. Like the arm comes
It's just
cocked back
perfect.
before she's even gone into her shooting motion. She's just
Exactly.
like, you're going to get this work.
But the only thing about that, when you do that, player jumps a little higher than you anticipated, you hitting them right in the head.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You're
You
fouling
hit
so
them right
hard.
in the head.
Sometimes the refs, when the refs see you go like this,
Yeah.
they just put the whistle right in their
Correct.
mouth. They're like,
Correct.
go ahead. See what happens. Sometimes you can even get a clean block, but if you swing like that,
But
they will
shout out to
call it.
Rokia.
Yeah.
Big
shout out
block.
to Rokia. We have a Heisman Trophy winner. Keep it moving or hit the
Keep it
brakes.
moving. We all know that Joe Burrow was going to win.
That wasn't.
We keep it moving.
That's some bad news for Luka Doncic. Keep moving or hit the brakes.
He got a sprained ankle. He's going to be out a couple of weeks. He'll be back. Keep it moving.
All right, we'll keep it moving. And finally, Jalen Rose,
We keep it moving.
I want to show you some gator jumping. Keep moving or hit the brakes.
Cultural. Hit the brakes.
Oh, wait till you see this, Mr. Rose. Wait till you see this video that was making the rounds on the internet. Those are live alligators. Live alligators.
Oh, wow.
And he jumps over that thing. Jalen Rose, I know you were not exactly known for your leaping ability. Could you jump over that swamp of live gators?
I promise that has to be in Florida.
Oh, yeah.
And let me take it a step further. He probably play on Uncle Luke's team.
That's a jump.
I'm serious. Because he be having them kids working, man. I guarantee you, I'm going to have to hit him up on the text. I'm telling you. Out of all the places in the world, I'm telling you where that was. I'm telling you that was a part of some extraneous training. Like, you got to take this serious.
Got you jumping over a gator?
Yeah, I'm telling you. I bet he play on Uncle Luke's squad.
Underrated. Gators unfazed. Gators are just lying there like, whatever, dude. Go
Underrated
Go
is
ahead.
you got to be focused every time you do that.
You and I were focused on Terrence Crawford at MSG on Saturday. We'll tell you about that fight and much more. Really appreciate you tuning in to Jalen Jacoby on television, but don't forget, subscribe to the podcast, download the podcast, listen to the podcast while you're at work, while you're driving to work, whether you're working out, whether you're doing nothing at the house, because we have exclusive content every single day on the podcast. And make sure you follow Jalen on social media. He's streaming live, exclusive content from the show, from the studio. Follow all of us on social media and the show. Jalen Rose, we did something we don't normally do. We stayed out past midnight on Saturday.
It was well worth it.
We stayed out past midnight on Saturday. There we are.
We look kind of fresh.
Going to the Terrence Crawford fight. There was a great night at the fights in Madison Square Garden. Great. Big shout to Top Rank taking care of us.
No doubt, Bob Arum.
Oh, it was amazing.
Showing love.
No, I just want to say that you always say that you've been to a lot of prize fights, right? And I think that you encouraged Terrence Crawford to this victory. You had more influence on his performance than his corner because you're gigantic, you're in the front row, you're standing up, you're screaming, you're telling him to use the jab, you're just screaming at him the entire fight long, just standing and screaming at Terrence Crawford. Why were you so invested in his performance?
Well, he's a terrific fighter. He's arguably pound for pound in the game. And initially, I felt like he wasn't jabbing his way in, punching his way in.
He got hit.
And that allowed him to get hit a couple of times.
He got hit a couple times.
Right? You got to get up on
He lost a few rounds.
Yeah. So I'm like, he needs some encouragement.
Yeah.
Like we all
Yeah,
do.
you started to get mad at him. You started getting mad at him. You
Jab, bud!
It's just yelling the whole time. Use
Jab, bud!
Use a jab.
And then he started relaxing,
Because
softball.
it gets a little
Bang.
quiet. It gets a little quiet at the fight sometimes. You know what I mean? And you can just hear Jalen just screaming, jab, bud! Standing,
A couple
screaming.
of shout outs, though. Really important. Shout out to Shakur Stevenson. He was there.
Yep.
And for those that don't know, he's going to be a household name. We got to make sure we get him on the show.
Yep.
Shout out to Tracy Morgan.
Tracy Morgan was
He
there.
was there. And his waves go in multiple directions.
Waves looked amazing.
I got to step my game up.
Yeah, like you got a better hairline, but he got better waves.
No doubt about it.
I want to give a big shout to Teofimo Lopez. He had a great knockout,
He did.
Brooklyn zone in the second round. Just put this dude down. He's going to be a fighter.
It was a terrific card at MSG. It was great to be there. It was on ESPN. Shout out to Joe Tess and Andre Ward, Max Kells.
It was great.
Shout out to our boss, Connor Shell. He was in the building.
And Sean Porter may be next for Terrence Crawford. Errol Spence is still recovering from auto accident. Sean Porter might be next.
Rough, rugged, and raw.
That'd be a good fight. All right, tonight on Monday Night Football, the Saints play my guy, Jacoby Brissett, and the Colts. Jalen, can the Saints get to 11-3 and meet those other teams like the Seahawks and the Niners and the Packers at 11-3?
I think so. And anytime you're going against the 49ers the way they were in their previous game and Drew Brees gets 6 touchdowns against that defense, they have to be feeling good about themselves offensively.
Oh, yeah.
Taysom Hill is a beast. I love him.
I
Swiss
love
Army
Taysom
Knife
Hill.
so much.
I love Taysom Hill.
This is going to be the game that I've been waiting for from Alvin Kamara. This is going to be
Because they're
going
going to get ahead, so they're going to be leaning on the running game a little bit.
This is going to be that plus 150 running, 3 touchdowns, 75 yards receiving game for Alvin Kamara.
That's a good prediction. Do you think Jacoby Brissett is no longer leading in the MVP race?
What happened?
You know, Lamar Jackson just really, what happened? I would say, you know what I'm going to do? You know how we can just twist numbers and say whatever we want? I'm going to prove that Jacoby Brissett's actually having a better season than Lamar Jackson because we can make the numbers say whatever we want.
Well, I know
I'm going to prove it. I'm going to prove it.
You know what I want to see? If T.Y. Hilton play, I want to see him and Lattimore go at it. We talked a lot about Gilmore early in the show, and you know how I feel about the D-back position. He one of the elites in the game.
He is. Lattimore's great. You know what? The Saints are good. Saints are good.
They're
this
really
game's
good.
not going to be close. I'm going to go to sleep. I like the Monday night games to be blowout so I can go to sleep at halftime.
Cameron Jordan, he be balling.
Okay. Jalen, finally, the Spurs have given up more points than all but 5 teams in the NBA. James Harden scores more points than everybody in the NBA.
I don't like what you're doing here.
Does James Harden have 3 straight 50-plus games?
No, veteran pride. And not unless he take 50 shots, which he's capable of doing.
He can do that. James Harden's watching the show right now. Like, I can take 50 shots.
Easy.
Talk about it. Yeah.
I was going to do it the other day. They just took me out.
I can do that in 3 quarters. Yeah.
Veteran pride. Rudy Gay, DeMar DeRozan.
Jalen, who is on the show on Wednesday?
Living off experience everywhere we go.
The Locks join us on Wednesday. The Locks join us on Wednesday. We'll be back tomorrow. ESPN 2 and 2.